Shalom, everyone. Shalom.
Shalom.
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit nervous today. And I'm not sure why. I usually get almost nervous, but for some reason I'm a little bit nervous today.
Just relax, you're one family.
But hopefully everyone is having a great, Feast of Tabernacles so far. And having fun, playing that new ball game that's in the game. We all stole Nico's technique because it was one of the best techniques out there.
For faith being on everybody.
I'm truly enjoying fellowshipping with everyone here. The murder mystery was fun. But it's time to get into the message. So, today's reading will be from Ecclesiastes chapter 1, just verse 9. And it reads, "The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun." This brings the title of this message, which is, "You Ignored God's Call for That." So, how many of you out here have a cell phone? Raise your hand. It's like about 100%. All right. How many of you prefer to get a text over a phone call? Raise your hand. All right. So usually these are the people that if you were to call them and they are busy, you will get ignored. They will not pick up the phone, or they might text you and say, "What do you want?" You won't necessarily pick up the phone, right? Now, there's no doubt there are people out there that when you call them, they'll look at the phone and just think, you know what, I'll just ignore that, right? I don't feel like talking to them right now. I know if I got a call and, just pick it up and like, hey, it's Hope. I'm pretty sure she just wants some snacks and some drinks, so ignore. So, when I heard the feast thing about answering the call and no walls will fall, I began to think about the reasons that we decide to ignore y'all's call for our lives. Now, some of these things we ignore are spiritual matters, like they're all spiritual matters. And the things that you ignore these spiritual matters for become walls in our lives that prevent us from growing in Yahweh. So my prayer is that by exposing how silly and meaningless these things that prevent us from growing in Yahweh are, that it will become weakened, or what you see as a wall will be weak, and then you'll be more willing to let those things aside for Yahweh's will. All right, we all have a call over our lives, a purpose in which Yahweh has bestowed upon us. We were given different gifts, talents, skills, and interests to fulfill that purpose. Whether you were given much or little, you were still expected to walk out your purpose.
Yes.
Apart from our specific purpose, we all were given general calls of like choosing God daily, spreading the gospel, praying continually, reading daily, etc. Now, this would be very easy if there wasn't so many types of entertainment and desires and things that just pull on your flesh, right? So many of us stuff our time with these things, so much so that we begin to ignore the spiritual things in our life. I believe it is safe to say that every believer has hit a season where they fall back in reading their word. You try to squeeze in a few verses, but it just isn't doing much. Maybe your prayer life fell to the bottom of your schedule because you have other things to catch up on, or other things that you are pursuing that you consider important. Some have been given specific tasks to complete, whether it was to start a prayer group or a prison ministry or community outreach that you lead out, but yet haven't moved. If you relate to this, you, my friend, have a few walls that are causing you to ignore Yahweh's call. But don't fear. I'm here to shed some light on these meaningless things.
Yes.
So when I say the phrase, just know that, you all say, you ignore y'all's call for that. Okay, so let's give it a try. Just know that. All right, that sounded pretty good. I thought the first time wasn't going to go as well, but it went good, so we'll go with that. All right, so we'll go with the first thing. All right, so let me pull up my here. All right. So, we got television. We have our entertainment, anime, things of that sort. So some of us feel so much of our time watching TV, whether it's movies, Netflix, YouTube, or maybe even anime, as I stated. For some, TV takes up all of their time. They spend hours on hours watching their shows, sitting on a couch, and some see value in this. But in its simplest form, just know
you ignore God's law for that.
Switch it. So, what you see here is the simplest form of anime. That is a pencil drawing on paper. Anime is just pictures that someone drew on the paper and added a story behind. Every TV show is just ideas that someone scripted and then paid someone to act it out. As for television, if you think about it, you're staring at a metal box with glass. Is it really that valuable? Imagine standing in front of Yahshua and he tells you that you spent the majority of your life staring at a metal box, when there were souls in need of saving. If you think about it, television isn't too far off from a golden calf. The calf was made from gold and fashioned into something that people worship. Well, the television is just made out of metal and it's fashioned into a box. And it's just something that people choose to sit in front of for so much time. So bring me to the next one. What about video games? Now, I'm speaking from experience because as a kid, throughout my childhood, the only escape from reality that I had was video games. That was like the thing my uncle taught me since a kid. So I had every system, I played every game, and it carried into college and even further past that. So since a kid, I used that as escape from reality. So the thing about video games is that they have a reward system in there, where if you put enough time into these games, you can get the best weapons, the best armor, the best gear, right? You can even collect things that other people who aren't so good at can't get, So you play online with friends and you find yourself on there for hours. And I used to skip my classes the next day just to play this game all throughout the night. But one day it hit me that I was bettering my character within a virtual game, but not investing and bettering my soul in reality. So from that day forward, I viewed every upgrade within the game differently. Because I'm thinking, how am I getting better in here, but in real life I'm not doing anything extra? So if you were like me and you were stuck playing video games, like I once was, because honestly, I lost the passion for video games. So now I can only do it for like an hour and a half before I'm like, what am I doing? And then I just literally don't want to do it anymore. So I turn it off and probably try to watch a show or something, because the video games don't have as much of a reward for me anymore. But if you were stuck playing video games, like I once was, just know that
You ignore God's law for that.
what you see here is what they call pixels. Every TV and every cell phone is filled with these pixels. These are the colors that make up the images that you see on these screens. So on like my computer, the better the quality is, there's more of these pixels just in a tighter spot. So now the colors make things a little bit more distinguishable. So every time you get an upgrade from your phone and everything, and they say, oh, you can see it better, it's because they got more of these pixels and stuff, okay? So, but technically, no, I'm gonna say technically, literally, the tiers of armor that you are grinding hours to obtain is simply a change in color of these lights. You and the others on the game are pretty much seeing who is better at interacting with lights than the other 1,000 people who were playing and doing the same thing. So to put it simply, you are ignoring God's call to be entertained by lights. Seems very simple, right? Meaningless. Which brings me to the next one. We got money and ambition. You hear it in almost every song. Get your money up, cash rules. You got money, don't talk to me. You hear that in all these songs. Many will choose to do things that they know are against y'all's word just to get money. Though money can make life a bit easier if you know how to manage it, no amount of money should be worth putting your soul at jeopardy of hell's fire. One of the most common things I see that gets ignored for money is Yahweh's Sabbath. We are told to not work and to focus on Yah and to rest. And many value their jobs, their careers, the money that they make over Yah's call to righteous living. If you love money this much, just know Alright, this is what you might as well be doing when you cherish money so much. Money is made from tree bark. The interesting thing is that money in itself has no value. It only has value because there was an agreement that if you print some ink on this paper, this specific type of ink in this form, that you can use this to purchase things. But even before money, there was a barter system where I could just trade you. You'd be like, Pastor, I like your sweater. I got a mic stand. I'll trade you my mic stand for your sweater. And that's how things used to get traded. It wasn't about physical cash. But that's all beside the point. The point is, we are spending our lives chasing after processed tree bark, clinging to it so tightly that we are willing to ignore God's call for our lives. These are the things that we hold so dear to us. Now, I can hear some people say, well, that's just your opinion. Well, don't take my word for it. Let's look into the scripture to see how meaningless these things are. So for this, we will look into the book of Ecclesiastes. Now, if any of you read this book before, I get that it can be quite depressing, because you get to notice how pointless things are in the bigger scheme of things. But my goal isn't to be dark in any type of way, okay? I know my last testimony was talking about like hell and things like that, so it seems like I'm just going down, But I promise y'all, I'm not going, everything I say is not going to be down here. All right, so let's look at it. Ecclesiastes 1:8 says, all things are full of labor, man cannot utter. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. So we watch all of these shows, we anticipate new seasons so that we can be entertained, but in reality, we will never be satisfied. There's always going to be another good show, always going to be another song that can be made by that same artist, or another person who comes after that artist who will probably sing better. There's always, I have not seen someone watch the same show their entire life and say they're satisfied, because that show did. They're always waiting for the next one. But it's because our eyes were not satisfied seeing and our ears were not filled with hearing. So we always need the next one. So to put it frankly, you're ignoring being filled by Yahweh for something that you will never be satisfied with. All right, the next one is Ecclesiastes 1:11, which says, "There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after." Now, when I think of this verse, I think about the people who chase after their legacies, right? They want to leave behind a name for themselves and their family. And some people take this very serious, that they spend hours practicing their craft to be the best at what they are pursuing. So, I'm going to ask 2 questions, and hopefully somebody has this answer. I'm going to say hopefully. I'm not expecting anyone to have this answer, to be honest. So, who was the best employee at your job, at your current job in 1960?
Who cares?
No one knows that?
Me neither.
Okay. Thank you. Who was the #1 actor in 1920?
Fred Astaire.
What?
So I wouldn't expect anyone to know that, but it shows that you can spend your lifetime trying to establish a name for yourself, only to find that you won't be remembered by the world, nor will you be in the book of life. Next slide. Ecclesiastes 1:4. What profit has a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? And Ecclesiastes 2:18 says, "Yea, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me." Now, these verses are interesting because it gives you a different perspective on labor. Okay, we spend so much time trying to make money and keep our jobs, or even start our own business, and in the end, someone with less determination, who wasn't there in the beginning of the startup process, is going to take over when you pass. The next verse makes it even more meaningless, for it states in verse 19, "And who knows whether he shall be wise or a fool? Yet shall he have rule over all my labor, wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun." So you don't even know if the person who's going to take over is going to be smart or foolish, who's going to run what you spent so much time building up, he's going to run it down to the ground. So you put all that into that, and you just, after you pass, it's not going to last. Next slide is Ecclesiastes 2:12. "I said in my heart, Go to now, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold, this is also vanity. I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what doeth it?" Some just want to be happy. They want to surround themselves with things that bring them laughter or excitement, and these people are so into like going on trips, and going to parties, and events, and even outings with friends, which, nothing is wrong with some of those things. But when you are violating the Sabbath for these things, and it becomes an issue because you're starting to pass up on all the spiritual things that you're supposed to be doing, it shows where your heart is. So you can fill your life with worldly excitement, but in the end, what can it do for your soul? Now, for this example, let's do something. The next one is Ecclesiastes 1:9-10, which brings us to I think that's my main verse, yes. Okay. "The thing that has been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, this is new? Have been already of old time, which was before us." So, when I think of this, I think of how we want all of the newest things, right? We want another car, we want, cell phones and everything like that, but nothing is new. Like there was communication in the past. It's not saying that there was an iPhone in the past, but there was communication. People, whether it was by letter or by word or whatever, there was communication. They may not have a Lamborghini back then, but they had a horse or they had a carriage, they had transportation. So that's nothing new. There was entertainment back then and all of those things of that sort. So we're always thinking like, we want to get the biggest and the better thing, but honestly, every generation has had some sort of thing relating to the same thing that you have had.
Reach it.
So I have a video, but before I get to that video, I have to use it to show how we ignore Yahweh or Yahshua for these worldly things. So I was introduced to a show called Chosen. And in this show, it focused a bit on a Pharisee called Nicodemus. Now, disclaimer that this specific part that we're going to watch isn't a biblical moment, but it's a realistic moment. So in the show, prior to this point that we're going to see, Nicodemus was a very prestigious Pharisee, so much so that all the others spoke highly of him and things of that sort. They always looked for his advice and things like that. So he met with Yahshua the night before this scene and had a very heartfelt conversation that can be found in John chapter 3. After that conversation, he believed Yahshua to be, amazing. So Yahshua told him that he and his disciples would be journeying out the next day and that he is welcome to come. But that would affect his image because all the other Pharisees saw Yahshua as like a lunatic or someone who's just crazy or, someone who's starting a lot of trouble in Chosen. It will affect his position because he was, as a Pharisee, if he was to follow Yahshua, all the years he put into being a Pharisee and to get where he was would crumble because his peers would have no more respect for him because of how they all viewed Yahshua. It will affect his marriage because in the show, his wife wanted to leave the next day, which is the day that Yahshua was leaving, and she told her husband, Nicodemus, that she wanted to leave. So that would, if he was to leave her and go with Yahshua, he would mess up his marriage because she wasn't for Yahshua. She was on the side of the Pharisees. So if you think about it, he had to think about his prestige, his marriage, his relationships, and etc. So when the morning came from Yahshua, Yahshua and his disciples, when they were about to leave, this is where we hear that.
Should be everyone. Everyone's here?
Yes, this is all of us.
Is there anyone else?
Look at this.
What is that?
I don't know. Let's find out. Gold.
A friend of mine left that for us.
It's enough for 2 weeks of food and lodging.
You came so close.
What do you mean?
We need to go for it to make it to a camp in Tiberias by nightfall.
Simon is correct. Let's go.
wear that? On a trip.
These are my clothes. Should I have others?
So as you can see, you can tell that he understood that Yahshua was the one he should be born with. He was at, around the corner. And, he tried to leave money, but Yahshua don't want your money. He wants you to come after him. But he just couldn't let go of those things that he valued. And you heard Yahshua mention that he was so close. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to be so close to being with Yahshua.
Right.
I want to do what I have to do to be with Yahshua.
So true.
Because to me, nothing truly matters if I'm not with him for eternity. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, I'm seeing that I'll be like 30 next year, but I'm really starting to lose interest in a lot of the things in this world. As I stated, video games are like not appealing to me right now. Television is becoming repetitive, and now I'm more like mindful of where I put my time into. So my advice would be, let's not be like Samson, who, vowed the Nazarite vow, but decided to value relationships over the call of Yahweh. I get that we all want to be connected to someone and be loved, but let's seek first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be added. I see so many of our young people ignore Yahweh's call because they begin to gravitate towards someone who isn't a believer. They then begin to value that person above the will of Yahweh, and statistically, the person you met in your teens or in high school will not be the person you will marry. If you don't believe me, I have some proof. According to Brandon Gale Marketing, 25% of people are marrying their high school sweethearts today compared to those in 1940s. Okay, that's their high school sweethearts. But today, only 2% of marriages are from a high school relationship, with only 25% of women saying that they married their first love. So, just know that if this is you, that you are ignoring Yahweh's call for that 2% chance of marrying your high school first love. Now, baby, we made it. We got that 2%. We got that 2%. We got that 2%. But just because some people actually fall within that 2%, just know that the odds are against you in this, okay? It's not a 50-50. It's only a 2% chance that you will marry your first love. So if you think about it, seeing how the relationship may not last long, if you were to go ahead with that, you will be losing maybe your faith, you risk your spiritual security, when in reality, when the relationship is broken up, all they lost was a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but you lost, some of your faith, or maybe even all of it if you got pulled out into the world. So in the end, worldly relationships, entertainment, positions, prestige, our image, video games, they all are not worth our souls.
Amen.
No matter who you are, Yahshua has been calling you higher. He has been calling you to a deeper intimacy with him. He wants you to be in fellowship with him. And Yahshua took the condition of your soul so serious that he decided to do what was in need of him to do for your soul to be saved. But the question is, do you take the condition of your soul serious enough to do what you must do? So right now, Yeshua's line is open for you to be able to connect with him. But there will be a time when people will reach out to him and he will reject your call. You can leave as many voicemails as you want, but he will not hear it. For when he was trying to connect you to the vine, you were on social media for hours, watching TikTok, YouTube, and Vine. When he was trying to get you to seek his face, you'd rather be on Facebook. When he wanted you to be faithful to his will, you were busy entertaining entanglements, aka relationships. When he wanted you to be a tree planted by water, you were too busy chasing processed tree bark. When he wanted you to be the light, you were too busy playing with lights. But y'all get the gist. Stop ignoring y'all's call for that. Hallelujah.